gearing up for our next interview.
Is this Dan?
Which is really
Hi, Dan. How are you?
exciting.
It's Moran from Homegrown
Dan
Radio.
Lauria is going to be joining us in
Good. Thank you so much for giving us your time
Lauren's actually
today
talking to him
to do
right
this
now.
interview.
The dad from
Of
the
course.
Wonder Years.
I'm just going to pod you into the system,
she's
and then I'm
plugging
going
him in
to
right
get
now.
you up, and then we'll get you on the air. Just give me about 1 minute to get you all set. Thank
get
you.
ready, because she's plugging him in right now. And we're on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So if you are tuning in, or hopefully you're still here, this is our second interview of the day.
Yeah, busy day.
And we are really excited to welcome to Chewing the Scenery with Lauren and Danny, Dan Lauria. Hi, Dan. Can you hear us?
Yes. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Thank you so much for giving us your time today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Hi.
Of course.
Hi, Dan. It's Danny.
Dan and Danny.
How are you?
That's going to get confusing. So anyway, we wanted to start out because we always like to bring in the New Jersey connection. And the theaters that Danny and I work for are part of the New Jersey Theater Alliance. And you do some work at New Jersey Rep.
Oh, I do a lot of work with Gabe and Suzanne at New Jersey Rep. And I've even talked to other really fine actors like Gary Cole and my dear friend Wendy Malick to go there and work, and we all love it there. We call it acting boot camp.
That's great. So what is it about New Jersey theater that keeps bringing you back?
Well, especially with the New Jersey Rep, we do new plays. You know, I don't understand why they keep doing the same old plays over and over again. I mean, the last line of my bio is Dan doesn't do plays by old dead white men.
I love that.
And, you know, the New Jersey Rep is dedicated to hey, I don't know any other theater in the country that has 18 published plays in 18 years.
I know.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I know.
That really is.
It really is.
And their audience has grown every year. I mean, most regional theaters will do whatever they can to hang on to an old audience and do nothing to build a new audience.
Right.
So that's why we go there.
And you're down by the shore too.
I know.
It's like a
yeah, what a beautiful spot.
It really is. People think New Jersey is, you know, like around Newark Airport, but those of us, we know that there's a lot more to it. So we love the New Jersey connection.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. The New Yorkers, they always say, you know, we send the bad air over there.
Yeah.
But I think it's you New Jersey people that keep that bad air right by New York, so nobody knows how beautiful the rest of the state is.
I know we want to keep. we want to keep it to ourselves.
And we tell everybody, we're like, listen, why do you want to deal with tunnels and parking?
But you are in a show in New York. But before we go on, I have to tell you, I saw you opening night at Madison Square Garden for A Christmas Story.
Oh, that was a great play.
And I'll tell you, my friend Scott Hart was one of the producers on that show. So he invited me to opening night, and I got to go to the producer party. I don't know if you were there. I did get to meet Peter Billingsley, but you made me cry.
Yeah.
You made me cry. That last line in the show when you were talking about that was the most important gift to you because it came from your dad, and you got like a little verklempt. I was a mess. I was just crying. You were wonderful in that show.
Oh, well, it was a great script, and it was an odd show in that people came with a little chip on their shoulders saying, what are you doing to our favorite movie? But we were very true to the movie script, but we had great music by Jason and Ben.
Yeah.
And who, you know, they wrote Evan Hansen.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Just won the Academy Award, so that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, right. No. Drop the mic.
And plus, we had that great monologue at the end, which captured everybody. You know?
Do you know? And this is what I even said to Peter. I said I have to, and I love. I mean, who doesn't love A Christmas Story? Then they run 24 hours. I said, but I felt more connected with the musical. I cried a lot during the musical. I don't cry when I watch the movie. No, you laugh. I mean, it's a great movie. It's iconic. But there was more heart with the musical. I really felt the connection to all the characters and the life. So congratulations. You were wonderful in that show. And
thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it was great. But let's talk about your new show, The Stone Witch, which is running currently at the West Side Theater. Another side note, you're a big James Cagney fan, and Cagney the Musical was just there. I saw it there last year.
Oh, yeah. My mentor was Charles Durning, who, loved James Cagney. He even introduced me to him. and it was a great honor to meet him. So, yeah, I am a Cagney fan, but we are at the same theater.
Yeah.
And it's a very good play. It's The Stone Witch is about that fine line between creative madness and creative genius. You know,
Oh, I love that.
That is a fun
so
line.
it's and I got great co-stars. Carolyn McCormick, who your audience knows as Dr. Alavet in the original Law and Order,
Yep.
and Rupak Jin from Royal Pains. So it's a three-hander, and we got some really nice reviews, and the people are just amazed by the special effects and the background. I play an old writer of children's books, and Rupak is a young writer, but as we write or as we draw the images, they come up behind us on the set. And it's really quite a spectacle. I've never seen anything like this off Broadway.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I'm actually on the website, which is stonewitchplay.com, and when I brought it up, I said to Lauren, I said, "Whoa, look at that background."
We were talking about this morning, actually.
The images behind you, it just looks like a fun space.
If you go to stonewitchplay.com, the people who go to that website usually buy a ticket. They'll come and see it, and it's really it's quite an event. And as a promoter of new plays, I have to tell you, 5 years ago, having special effects in an off-Broadway play would kill its chances for being done in regional theater.
Right.
Because you would need like 20 more feet of stage to do rear projection. But now it's all done on computers.
I know, it's crazy.
And this is a three-handed play with these beautiful effects that I think regional theaters all over the country are going to be doing.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. And I actually have a friend that works in this business now with digital and computerized lighting. And I think you're right. I think it's going to start to filter into New Jersey Regional Theater.
Oh, I think so, too.
I hope so.
I think the more people we can get to come see it here in New York, the bigger it's going to spread around the country. So we just got to get it going.
I'm definitely planning on coming.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to give a shout out to my friend Janine, who kind of set us up today for this interview, who does, she does the social media, and she set this up. She's like, you got to come see it. And I know I just have to figure out a date, but I will absolutely be there.
But please let me know. We'll go out and have a beer.
Absolutely.
That sounds great.
Absolutely.
And you're doing 8 shows a week, right?
Oh, yeah. Those 2 a days, those double headers are getting me. I'm getting a little old for those, but I still enjoy the one a days very much.
Yeah.
I just like acting, so.
Yeah.
No.
My 2 co-stars, they go, geez, you like the energy. I said, Bunny. I said, only when I'm here. As soon as I leave, I'm dragging around.
No, you know what? Don't you? And Danny and I talk about it all the time because we work in some regional theaters too. I work for the Women's Theater, which is run by Barbara Krakowski, and Danny works for the Growing Stage, which is out in Netcong, Steve Fredericks and Lori Lawrence. But sometimes I look at him, I'm like, we are so lucky that this is what we get to do for a living, don't you think? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's so thrilling. And so you do musical theater and you do plays. And
I don't sing a note. I was the one in A Christmas Story who didn't sing.
Right. No, we're not.
I am so bad. I sound terrible in the shower. That's
but you know what? I love seeing a great play in New York City. I should say even in New Jersey, but I do a lot of musical theater. So when I get to go watch a great play, I'm totally enthralled by it. I'm totally there with the characters. There's nothing like a great play.
Yeah, it is, but there's been a real change in the theater. There are some great new musicals on Broadway, but there are no non-musicals on Broadway. They're all revivals.
Yes.
Yes.
And we don't have enough. The papers are smaller now. We don't have those second-line critics like the great Mel Gusso, who would go to the public theater, would go to the off-Broadway shows. Matter of fact, I was just at a meeting with some producers, and if you're not a subscription house, like Manhattan Theater Club, Signature, or the Public, it's very hard to even get reviewed. Our play, The Stone Witch, has not been reviewed by the major papers.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
So we've gotten great reviews in the smaller papers, but we haven't been reviewed. So, and it's just that they don't have the space. It's too expensive to advertise in it. So it's a big change. years ago, not too many years ago, you could do a great play off Broadway, and it would move to Broadway, or it would run for years off Broadway, like Driving Miss Daisy or Other People's Money. But you don't see that anymore.
No.
So if that's happening in New York, the venue for new writers is just diminishing each year, and I don't know what really to do about it. I only do new plays, so.
No, and that's what I love about, and I do know, because NJ Rep is
right.
all new plays, so I know that that's kind of where where you are, and you want to support new authors, new works, because we can't keep on doing the same things over and over again. And I'm not.
No, I get very upset when I see these really, really great actors with big names doing a revival, when I know if they pick a new writer, they can get him, national recognition.
Yeah. So now you do TV as well. Of course, I have to throw in the Wonder Years, because I grew up watching that show. You were like my TV dad, but it's a different style of acting. Doing live theater versus film.
Well,
and you
it's night and day. I mean, it's two different art forms, and in television, especially today, it's all talking heads. So your job is feeding a computer. We really don't have directors who direct or actors who act. Actors say one line, go, let me say that line again, let me say that line again, So if you really want to act, you got to go back to the theater.
Right. Well, and I always say...
it's two different ballgames. It's hard to even compare the two.
No, and I don't think you can, but I always find that my favorite actors in film are the ones that are theatrically trained.
Oh, of course.
You can tell.
I mean, Christopher Plummer just proved that in his last movie.
Oh, my gosh, I know.
He shot that in 9 days, and they said, how did you do it? He goes, I'm from the theater.
Yeah.
So he did long takes without cut.
And that,
The longest take in Argo is 27 seconds.
Wow.
Without a cut. So, I'm not... Wow. I mean, you wonder why Ben Affleck didn't get nominated for Best Director, even though it won Best Pictures. It's really not directed. It's just computerized.
Sure.
Right.
So, and when you have great actors like Bryan Cranston, who I know very well, is one of the finest stage actors I've ever seen, Alan Arkin, why would you want to cut up the scenes they're in?
Yeah,
let the camera go.
Yeah, that's true. Now, did you start out with theater before you went into film and TV?
Oh yeah, I was 9 years in New York before my agent and Charles Durning made me go to L.A. I think Charlie was just lonely out there. And then I got to Wonder Years, and then Charlie, he made me produce a couple of plays. One of them was A Bronx Tale, and De Niro's company bought it for me. And then we used that money to set up a reading program where every Monday night we read a new play to help writers get literary agents, and we did it for 10 years.
Wow.
Over 486 readings. And it caught on. All the biggest people would read in our plays. And I made some great friends. I mean, Jack Klugman. We would go to dinner all the time. Dom DeLuise, Peter Falk, Jack Klugman, and Charles Durning.
Look at these names. I love that. Just them,
Yeah. And we'd always talk about acting. Never about good or bad, but about choices. Like Jack Klugman would always say, we're always good. That's not what it's about. And it was true. It's not what it's about. It's about, why did you make that choice? Did you ever think of this choice? Try this next time you're on stage. It was always about perfecting your art.
Yeah.
It was a different breed of actors.
You know what? I agree. I look at what we have today when I'm watching, and we have a lot of celebrities now. A lot of celebrities. Some of them I don't even know why they are celebrities, but they are. They're just everywhere. But when I look back at 20, 30 years ago, we had actors.
Yeah.
We had I agree with you. It's definitely a different era, and I'm wondering how we're going to catch up.
Yeah, but that's why if you really care about the art of acting, you had like my dearest friend Wendy Malick and I, we go do love letters, and we do the play The Guys all over the country for fundraisers, for first responders, for animal rights. She's a big animal rights person, especially the saving of the wild horses. And I do it for Big Brother and for the vets, and we go around the country, and but what we try to tell the people is we love doing the play.
Yeah.
You know, that's our chance.
So now it's funny you mentioned Wendy Malick, and when I knew you were coming on the show, I said to Laura, and I said, "Wait a minute, Wendy Malick and Dan Lauria, those are That's Toby's parents on This Is Us."
Oh yeah. No, Wendy and I work together a lot. And Wendy was on Pitch, which was written by Dan Fogelman as well.
Right.
And if Pitch had come back, Wendy played the owner of the team, and she was going to run the team. So when they asked Chris who he wanted, he said Dan and Judith Light, because we did Lombardi
together. That's right, yeah.
And Judith is the best.
Oh, she's terrific too.
But Judith was tied up, and I said to Dan, "Do you know Judith's tied up?" And I never got half the sentence out when he said, "I know, I'm already writing it for Wendy Malick."
But that's so great. You know what? That you get to work with who I love that.
I love that too.
We were talking about that.
You wonder why it's the #1 show, because Dan Fogelman has that kind of heart and spirit.
Yeah.
He's one of the few writers on television where the written word actually means something.
It's true.
It's not an ego thing. It's about creating the best possible characters and writers.
It's funny because Peter Onorati, who played Jack's father, he's from the town where we're broadcasting right now, from Boonton, New Jersey. And I've been trying to get him to come in, but we just haven't been able to coordinate because he goes back and forth. And then Danny said, Dan Lauria is on This Is Us, and I have to catch up. I'm like very behind. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? That's so funny that Peter is on that show too. And it does. That show has a lot of, it really is, people we love it.
And actors love working on it because they know the dialogue is going to be of a great quality.
Yeah.
And they know Dan takes pain in like the Wonder Years. He likes to have you laugh, and then in the next line, he can, if you got the right actor, he can turn it on a dime and bring a tear to your eye.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
And just looking at it's so great that you say that about great dialogue, because just looking back at your career, you've told these great stories, from stage to to even television, and even reading about the Stone Witch. It's like you're
still a storyteller.
You're still you're still telling stories. You have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, how great is that as an actor to have? Those opportunities.
That's the art that's being lost, is storytelling.
I agree.
I love to sit with Charlie and Jack and Dom and Peter and just listen to the stories of the theater and what happened on stage, and things that went wrong, went right, what was a great moment. It's always, we're missing that art of storytelling. And believe me, the mass editing on TV and movies is really detrimental to telling a story. It's the reason why you can watch an old movie like It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas and still get a tear, because they leave the camera alone and you're actually moved from your couch into Bedford Falls.
Yes.
But when you go back and forth subliminally, you're never out of your room.
Yeah. That's
storytelling is really a lost art.
And it's Danny and I both were actually theater educators as well, and I actually teach musical theater. But what I tell my students is, I don't care about the singing, and I'll look at my musical director and be like, "I'm sorry," I said, "but you really got to tell the story,
right?" Because
then all I'm hearing is pretty sounds. The storytelling to me is always first. You have to.
The one positive thing I've been seeing is the more we go into blowing up buildings and special effects and this massive cut,
right,
the more attractive, once you get a person into a theater, they go, wow, that was right there, Somebody made the other comment the other night, like, I didn't feel like I was watching a play. I thought it was really happening. I said, well, that's the goal.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, right.
They didn't get up to go get an ice cream or run to the bathroom.
Yeah,
they sat there and were brought into another reality.
Well, I love that West Side Theater because it does lend itself to the space is so charming.
Yeah.
It's so intimate.
Yeah, and what a great location, 43rd Street and 9th Avenue.
Right there.
Oh, Oh, absolutely.
Great restaurants around there, and great theater area. Theater Row, West Bank Cafe. It's all famous places.
I know. New York is just is such the hub. Now, so you go back and forth between L.A. and do you have a theater company? Do you still have a theater company?
No. The reading program stopped a few years ago, so but I do very little theater in L.A.
Right.
But last year I had a knee replacement, but that was the only year I did not do a play. And even that year, Wendy and I did Love Letters and The Guys. But this is like my 63rd play. So.
Wow. Congrats.
Gosh. And you know what? When you do what you love, you're not really working. That's what, you're working, but like I said, like I said before, when you get up and do this for a living, it's work, but you love it. You love what you do, and you grow.
Charlie Durning, he did 99 plays.
Wow.
And he always said, "I'm just going to keep doing it till I get one of them right."
Well, that's the truth. The more practice makes permanent. That's another.
So you got to beat his record.
Yeah.
You
there. I hope so.
You will.
Well, we need more artists like you too.
It's getting harder though to find new plays. I keep getting offered revivals, and I say I don't want to do that.
Yeah. No.
Well, I think that's just we need more artists like you to really to fight for those new plays and those
new writers.
Those new writers, right? Yeah, we really need that.
That's why we love the New Jersey Rep. That's why I love doing this play. Shem Bitterman, I met him over 20 years ago when we were doing our reading series. Matter of fact, I directed the first play we ever read of his. It was called Self-Storage with my dear friend Ron Perlman and Joe Pantoliano.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Now, have you been with the Stone Witch since the beginning? So essentially you've created this character.
No. I mean, I was at the first reading of it, but Judd Hirsch did it last summer up in the Berkshires for a couple of weeks in a workshop. Rupak was in it.
Okay.
But then, Judd has the series, and the play needed to go through a lot of rewriting. So actually, Judd was the first one to say, "Dan, you want to do this play? It's it has a lot of dialogue." And
yeah.
I still luckily have one of those memories. So I said, tell Shem to call me. And Shem called the very next day. And Steve Zuckerman, the director, is an old friend of mine who's everybody knows him from 4-camera sitcom, but he is a hell of a stage director. And they said, "You want to take it on? Let's go." So I'm in, and all I asked was that Shem not stop working on the script. So until the day we opened, we were rewriting.
What is it like for memorizing? And what is your process like, if you don't mind me asking, for memorizing? What do you do? Do you just have to have a photographic memory?
Well, I have more of an autographic memory.
Okay.
I have to say it aloud.
Yeah.
And I never go to the next line until the line before is memorized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice.
So
I don't try to do paragraph after paragraph. I'll say that first line 50 times.
Right.
And then I say the second line. And then you start getting on a run and you realize it's not taking you as long to memorize the line.
Right.
And is it tough, like, let's say, all of a sudden you're in Tech Week and there's a line change, and you've gotten into that rhythm?
It's you have to work in the stage. It's easier on stage than in film because in film you study, you get ready, you go to do a scene, and a guy walks up and says, "Hey, we rewrote this line. You got it? Okay, let's shoot."
Right.
It's
right.
So they don't have the rehearsal process. But I find on stage they don't just give you a line. We'll go in and rehearse it.
Right.
We'll rehearse till we're comfortable with it. So that's the hardest part of the theater is those preview weeks when you rehearse during the day and then do it at night. It's like doing 2 shows a day every day.
Oh, it's exhausting, especially when you're embodying a character, mind, body, and spirit. And then you have to you're rehearsing, and then you have to perform. But I guess the more you memorize, the easier it gets. It's just like anything. You're building up that muscle. You're working that muscle.
Yeah, it also depends on how well written it is. If
that's
well written,
true.
It's easy to remember. Like Dan Fogelman's dialogue and This Is Us is a snap because it's just so heartfelt.
Right.
So
now is this is the Stone Witch? Is this an open run or is it a limited engagement?
Oh, good.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that one.
The Stone Witch, is this a limited run or is it an open engagement?
Yeah, it's a limited run. We're hoping to make it through the end of May. You know, we had a little rough patch there, but the audience is starting to build, which is always a good sign that it's growing instead of diminishing. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
You know, the word of mouth is good, but like I said, the major papers don't come.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different ball game.
We'll post about it, and I sent you a friend request on Facebook. If you're wondering who that was.
Okay, I'm not good on Facebook.
Oh no, it's okay.
I do as minimal as I can.
I know you're smart,
and we will definitely share the link to it because, like you said, once you go on their website, you want to buy a ticket.
Oh my gosh, the pictures, they're
just incredible,
beautiful the artwork.
I'm telling you, anybody with an artistic bent that has come to this show has liked it.
Yeah,
because they understand. You know, some audience, you know. There's some people in the audience who go, I didn't get it. Who were you talking to? But the artistic people knew that it's the characters running in and out of my mind that I'm getting mixed up with reality, and it really makes sense to them.
Oh, that's
so. And at the end of the play, of course, you know, the young writer becomes a great writer, but because I've passed that on, but I also pass on the insanity.
Oh, gosh, this play. This
that's
the aha moment.
Yeah, we definitely have to check it out.
So.
No, I'm definitely.
We will definitely come.
Yeah,
and see
I definitely will come and see it because.
Well, good. I hope to see you.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you having me on the show.
No, and I want to give a little shout out because I was telling my dad that I was going to be that Dan and I would be interviewing today, and he said, it was in the Marine Corps. Like right around the time I was, so I have to give a little.
Your dad was in the Corps?
My dad was in the Corps. My dad was a Marine.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, and of course, thank you for your service, my friend.
Thank you so much. No, it was my honor.
Yes, I'm very much appreciative of all our veterans, and I'm so thrilled that we were able to throw this together. I have to tell you what's so funny. So I was in the city yesterday seeing Admissions at Lincoln Center Theater.
Yes.
And I'm getting a text from Janine. Can you guys interview Dan Lauria tomorrow? And I'm like, I'm about to run in to the matinee. Let me call you. And there's like no service at Lincoln Center. So it was just so funny, me and Janine trying to connect. But I was excited. I love talking to actors.
This was a real treat for us.
This was definitely a treat. Thank you so much, Dan.
Okay, well, I'll see you at the show, and we'll swap tales that we can't talk about on the radio.
Absolutely.
There you go. Sounds good.
It'll stay in the vault. Thank you so much, Dan, for joining us today.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Take
Bye
care.
now. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Wow. What a day. What a day here in the homegrown house. Seriously.
That was, it was funny because, we were both nervous.
I know. I was
about
nervous.
That interview.
But
once you started talking, did your nerves just go out the window?
But I was, what I was nervous? I was even nervous about talking to Jeremiah and Wade because it was a heavy interview day. So I was calling Danny, let me just tell you, like a psycho yesterday.
Yeah.
So I literally, and Todd knows this because I do this to Todd.
Well, first of all, my phone is always silent. I never have the ringer on. So, because it's usually glued to my hand.
Yeah.
So usually when people call, I don't hear it.
Right.
So I looked at my phone and I had a missed call from you.
A missed call?
Yeah. Just one. No, you called me multiple times.
I know. And I think I called you every minute.
She did.
I'm like, why is it?
And I was like,
he's like, I'm at the theater.
I'm at the theater in a meeting.
He's
what
like,
is up?
And I'm like, we're interviewing, because you had known about, because I had messaged you about.
I knew about it happened in Key West.
And I'm like, we're interviewing Dan Lauria tomorrow too. He's like the actor from The Wonder Years. I'm like, yes. He's like, oh my God. I'm like,
I wrote what?
What? I go, seriously. And he's like, meeting tomorrow. I said 12 noon. Because, we try and do a production meeting when we can because we like to get on the same.
And it was so funny too because I told my sister, I said, oh my God, we're interviewing Dan Lauria. And I said, where did we just see him? What TV show? And I couldn't think of it. So I looked on IMDb, and it said that he was on This Is Us, but I still didn't make the connection.
Right.
And I remember he was paired with Wendy Malick.
Yeah.
And I said, let me look at hers. And they had the same last name. So I went, oh, they were Toby's parents.
That's so
And you want to know
funny.
something? I love Wendy Malick.
Yeah.
And I love Judith Light. So I would have been,
Either one, yeah.
But it was kind of, just talking to him. It was just, he was so so laid back.
You know what?
So
and it's
cool.
so funny
Such
because they're
an
just people.
actor, which is great. I mean, like,
He's
I
an
love how
actor's
he only
actor.
But I love how he advocates for the writer.
I know, and I was thinking, I'm like, I want to connect you with Adam. Remember Adam Simkowitz?
Yes.
I would love to connect him with that because Adam, my friend Adam, is a new writer, and his work's being produced all over.
Well, we're gonna have to go see the show. He did say he would have a beer with us.
He did. We're gonna go. We're gonna go see it.
We are seriously going.
What a day. So yeah, Danny gets my psychotic calls. Like, I literally was like, call again.
But
call again.
The best
Should I talk
part
about my
was,
ticket because I was like pulled over?
If it was anybody else, you'd be like, "Hi, what's up?" With her, I was like, "What? I'm in a meeting."
I know. He like was yelling at me because that's how we roll. He's my on-air boo. But well, should I mention before we go that I got pulled over? I had 100. Okay, so
I'm gonna look up tickets for the Stone Witch.
So basically, I said earlier I saw admissions at Lincoln Center Theater, and we're driving home, and I made a right onto 41st Street, which you can't between 4 and 7. Someone advised me that I should. I'm not mad at that person. You know, you don't know. The city's weird. Immediately get pulled over, and then I don't think I have my registration. And I have my friends in the back seat, my friends Joan and Jay Ludwig in the back seat. And I feel like my registration's not up to date. So I'm calling Todd, and I'm like freaking out. And the guy's like taking forever. I'm like, everyone else is getting tickets, just going. Here I am in my head thinking my car's going to be impounded. I'm going to be in jail with my friends sitting in the back seat. I look like an Uber driver because they're in the back seat because we couldn't get. It was just a crazy day. $138 ticket. And you could tell the cop didn't really want to give it to me, but he kind of had to. And he was like, you know what? He's like, you could try fighting it, but you're out of state. He's like, you just got to be careful with GPS. He's like, because these GPSs, they'll tell you where to turn, but they don't tell you about the, the signs or anything. So, that was my day. So I'm pulled over. I'm calling Janine like a psycho. I'm calling Danny like a psycho.
So funny.
He loves me though, right, Danny?
Oh my God, totally.
So next week, before we go, 'cause I actually have to go to rehearsal now for Seussical. We are having S'mores Indoors, children's author.
Exciting.
You can check that out online. Just Google S'mores Indoors, children's book. Gazillion Bubble Show, 4-person ticket giveaway. April 26th, Tim Quick, Jesus Christ Superstar Live in concert,
guitar.
Rock of Ages, guitar. So we have a really full plate, and we're starting to fill up for May.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you want to get in on the fun, you need to
holla
for a dollar. I just want to real quick just say the websites again.
Yes.
So it happened in Key West. It's keywestmusical.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Stone Witch play is stonewitchplay.com. Super easy.
It's really easy. Go get your tickets, support live theater. And thank you, Ron Kern, for the batteries. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put on, hold on one second.
She's going to put on some music. So we will see you next week. Go check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/chewing the scenery. Tell your friends and family and dogs and birds and cats and squirrels about us because we wanna chat.
We want to expand. We love talking. We love talking arts and entertainment. We want to
talk for them. So this was really fun. This was
a
one
fun
for the
day.
books.
This was one for the
books.
books.
One for the books, people.
So tune in next week, 1 p.m. Another great show coming at you. Signpost to New Space coming in, then Uncle Buggy, and then the Grateful Dead Hour, Railroad Earth Happy Hour. I know I'm missing something tonight, but there's a lot of great programming.
Homegrown Radio, NJ.org.
Go find it. Go find us. Congratulations. We were nominated for an Asbury Park Music Award.
Right.
Thank you to the Asbury Park Music Committee for nominating us. And Lauren and Danny,
I'm going to
out.
Asbury Park next week for a music festival with Brooke. I'll tell you about it next week.
Cool.
Peace.